Thanks, Hugh. On Look East tonight, another appeal to solve Essex's biggest case of mass murder 10 years on. It was the biggest case of mass murder Essex has ever seen. This mother and her 5 children were killed in a house fire in Harlow. 10 years on, police have brought in a fresh person to review the investigation again. Dr. Abdul Shakur was the only survivor of the fire, as Richard Daniel reports.
Your family are inside?
Yeah. When can we go in?
It was a horrifying crime. 6 members of the same family killed in an arson attack. Dr. Saba Usmani, daughters Hira and Maheen, and her sons Sohaid, Munib and Rayyan. It was a harrowing time too for the emergency services.
I'll start off by the sad news that in the last few minutes I found out that Maheen didn't make it. And there's no easy way to break the news.
3-year-old Maheen died 3 days later from her injuries. The fire broke out in Barnmead in Harlow on the 15th of October 2012 at 20 to 2 in the morning. As the house was engulfed in flames and smoke, Dr. Shakur managed to jump from an upstairs window to raise the alarm. But his family couldn't be saved.
I do not understand why my little children who were so happy and full of life, who had so much to live for, are no longer here.
A huge police investigation followed. 70 officers worked on the case. 500 people gave witness statements. Now, 10 years on, a new detective is embarking on a full review of the case, the 4th to be carried out.
Times change, allegiances change. I think the community of Harlow need to really have a think about their moral conscience. If they know something, tell us.
Following the loss of his family, Abdul Shakur returned to Pakistan to live. He's coming back to the UK this weekend for the service of remembrance here on Saturday, a service which the police hope will mean that some people in Harlow search their consciences and come forward with more information. Richard Daniel, BBC Look East at Harlow Islamic Centre.
The countdown is on. At midnight tonight, poultry keepers here will be under the tightest restrictions in the country in an attempt to control the spread of bird flu. Poultry keepers in all of Norfolk, Suffolk and parts of Essex need to keep their birds under cover. Those restrictions don't apply anywhere else in the country. One egg producer told us he fears for the future of the whole industry. This from Ian Barmer.
From tomorrow, all poultry and captive birds in Norfolk, Suffolk and parts of Essex will have to be kept under cover, but some are already inside.
Incredibly frustrated and incredibly worried for the future of my business and all poultry businesses in the UK at the moment. You know, avian flu is rife.
This is the only part of the country where DEFRA has ordered birds to be kept under cover, and the 4 newest cases discovered overnight were all in Norfolk. This brings the total across Norfolk, Suffolk and Essex to 28 so far. Avian flu is spread to captive birds like poultry by wild birds, which makes it so difficult to control. But it's just as devastating for them. Already swans in Norfolk and Suffolk have been seen with bird flu.
It's been a terrible year already for our wild birds, particularly our seabirds and our water birds. This summer, I've not seen, or no one I really know has seen, losses on this scale in seabird populations, our internationally important seabird populations. Now it's jumping into our internationally important populations of wintering water birds.
Controlling avian flu is so important because the east of England has 1/5 of the country's poultry farms and produces 40% of all turkeys. Thousands of businesses and jobs are at stake.
If DEFRA don't get on top of this in the coming months, what do you think the outcome will be for the poultry industry here?
Well, if it continues like this in the next 3 months, there won't be a poultry industry. People are not going to invest and continue to farm poultry with the risks that are associated out there. It's just not viable.
Alistair Bryce talking to our reporter Ian Barmer. Well, I put that point to Christine Middlemiss, DEFRA's Chief Veterinary Officer.
We're working and putting out guidance talking to companies about what they can do. Lots of advice there. I'm speaking to their vets as well about how they can protect themselves. But absolutely, it's a very worrying time with the level of infections that we're seeing currently every day at the moment.
The NHS says more autumn COVID booster jabs have been given in Suffolk and North East Essex than anywhere else in the country. Since September, 165,000 people have had one, 25,000 in the last week alone. The speed of take-up has been described as remarkable. The former boss of 3 of this region's hospitals has had corruption charges against him in Australia thrown out. Malcolm Stamp, seen here in the flowery tie, was accused of nepotism and covering it up while chief executive of a hospital in Australia. The Queensland Director of Public Prosecutions confirmed the case had been discontinued due to a poor chance of conviction. 2 of the world's top badminton players have been in Suffolk. Tonight, Ben Lane and Sean Vendy were coaching juniors at the Badminton Performance Centre in Ipswich. They are England's #1 doubles pair and won silver at the summer's Commonwealth Games. That's all from the late team, but I can leave you with Alex and the weather. Good night.
Hello there. Temperatures got down to freezing in a couple of places last night. Tonight, another possibility of that happening. We'll have a lot of clear sky out there. We could see some mist and fog patches developing. Across the west, the chance of increasing amounts of cloud, but it's across the east that we'll see those lowest temperatures, and potentially they could be lower than this, down to freezing or just above. So a chilly start to the day tomorrow. Some mist and fog to clear. This weather front approaching from the west will eventually bring us increasing amounts of cloud, but actually it looks as though once we've cleared the mist and fog, we should see a good deal of sunshine, just increasing amounts of cloud by the end of the day. And it's possible there could be some patchy rain across western counties, but not a great deal. Still pretty mild, 16 or 17 degrees, a little breezier, and it's looking like a largely dry end to the week.